Hi, today we're going to talk about integers. Some of this will be review from 6th grade, some of it is new, but by the end of this video you should be able to describe situations where opposite quantities combine to make 0. And you should be able to show that a number and its opposite have a sum of 0. That's the additive inverse. Okay, so this is on your doodle notes. Feel free to doodle while I talk, but we are going to make markings all over these notes. So integers are positive and negative. So the first thing we're going to do is highlight the negatives and the positives. I'm going to choose red for my negatives, and I'm going to circle all of the numbers less than 0 for my negatives. And it goes through infinity. I circled that in red because in business, if your numbers are in the red zone, that means you have a loss. You have lost money. Whereas if your numbers are in the black, that means you have greater than 0. You have a positive. That's why it's called Black Friday, of course, because that's when retailers make a profit, that big day after Thanksgiving when everyone is shopping. What about the 0? The 0 is not negative or positive. It is neither. Oh, I should probably change that marker. It's a little too thick. So I'm going to say neither. Please write that down on your paper too so you don't forget. A 0 has no charge. It is not positive. It is not negative. It is not a charge at all. To the left here, it says the set of whole numbers and their opposites. That's what integers mean. They are all of the whole numbers and their opposites. For example, if I have 4 and negative 4, those are integers. It's a whole number, and the opposite number is the negative 4. So the negative 4 is also an integer, as is the 4. The 4 is also a whole number. Can you come up with a set of your own? Give me a whole number and its opposite. Write it down on your paper. Now this part you learned last year, absolute value. Absolute value is simply the distance the number is from 0. For example, if I had the absolute value of negative 6, what I really want to know is what's the distance from negative 6 to 0. So here's negative 6. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't care which direction we moved. I simply want the distance. That's what absolute value means. The absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. Here are some words to use that you're going to see for negatives and positives. Let's talk about positives first. A gain, a deposit in a bank account, that would be a positive. An increase, you're increasing in height or altitude. Above, earn, rise, ascend, over. Those are some examples of positives. If you can think of any other, this is your chance to write them down. I'm going to write the word forward. Sometimes that means a positive, as does profit. If you thought of those, good for you. If you've thought of others, please share them with us. Some negative values, loss, withdraw. When you take money out of your banking account, you're withdrawing money, your bank account is going to go down. Decrease is a negative. Below, like below sea level. Oh, drop, descend. An airplane descends, it goes down. And under, those are negatives. Another example of a negative is backward. Please write it down with me. And another word for negative is deficit. Deficit usually deals with money. It means we're short some money. That's a deficit. Feel free to pause if you need a chance to write. How much money do you have? Well, if you earned $1, and you have $1, that means this. You have a positive, and you're adding to that a negative. Those cancel out. They become 0. Another word for that is the additive inverse property. Additive inverse means what do I have to add to a number to get it to 0? I usually have to add the opposite. I have to add the opposite. So if I'm combining a positive 1 and a negative 1 and it results in a 0, that is what we call 0 pairs. Feel free to circle that. We are going to use 0 pairs a lot in the next couple of lessons as we talk about adding and subtracting these integers. 0 pairs sometimes you'll see as counters. A positive counter and a negative counter cancel each other out. So we circle these and we call those a 0 pair.